The galaxy had always been ruled by the fierce and proud Drathari Empire. For thousands of cycles, the Drathari warriors were considered the strongest in the known galaxy. They were trained from birth in combat, strategy, and survival. Legends spoke of their unmatched strength, speed, and precision. No species had ever faced their elite warriors and lived to tell the tale. Yet, a message arrived from a small, unassuming star system at the edge of the galaxy. It came from humans, creatures the Drathari had long ignored. The message was simple but daring. They challenged the Drathari warriors to a series of tests to prove who was stronger. The Council of Drathari leaders gathered in the High Chamber, a towering structure carved from black crystal, glowing faintly with energy from the planet's core. High Commander Thrax, the most decorated warrior in living memory, read the message aloud. "Humans?" he barked, his voice echoing across the chamber. His horns cast long shadows on the walls. "Do they think we will take this seriously? They are small, weak, fragile. Our best warriors could crush them without effort." Admiral Krell, a veteran with battle scars running across his crimson skin, shook his head. "High Commander, I have heard rumors. Humans are resilient, yes. But they are not soldiers. They do not fight as we do. I see no reason to worry." The council laughed. Even the youngest members, barely out of their training halls, joined in. In the Drathari Empire, humans were considered little more than curiosities, primitive creatures with strange customs and weak bones. But a whisper ran through the chamber, quiet and cautious. Some among them had heard tales of human unpredictability. In distant star systems, travelers spoke of humans surviving disasters that no other species could endure. Some even said humans could fight against impossible odds and survive. "Legends," High Commander Thrax said sharply. "Nothing more. We have fought entire fleets and armies at once. We have faced beasts larger than mountains and storms that could destroy cities. Humans are nothing." Despite the dismissive words, preparations began. The Drathari were confident that their warriors would crush the humans easily. Training grounds were readied, combat arenas polished, and the elite warriors were assembled. Only the strongest, fastest, and most cunning warriors would face these primitive creatures. Meanwhile, the humans were traveling through the cold void of space in their sleek, silver ships. Unlike the heavily armed Drathari vessels, the human ships were simple, fast, and flexible. Each ship carried a small crew, but each crew member was highly trained. They were not just soldiers, they were thinkers, planners, and problem solvers. Captain Emily Lawson, the leader of the human delegation, stood on the bridge of her ship, staring at the glowing stars ahead. Her team, a mix of men and women from Earth, moved calmly around her. "We may be outnumbered," she said softly, "but we are never outmatched. Remember, we fight smart, we fight together, and we never panic. That is how humans survive." Her words were not boastful. They were a quiet confidence born from years of surviving disasters, harsh training, and missions that seemed impossible. When the humans arrived at the arena planet, the Drathari were ready. The planet was enormous, with towering cliffs, vast plains, and treacherous canyons. The arena itself was carved from the living rock of the planet's equator, a massive, circular pit, glowing with energy barriers to prevent anyone from leaving until the battle was done. The first humans stepped onto the arena floor. To the Drathari, they looked fragile, almost delicate. Their armor was lightweight, designed for mobility rather than intimidation. Their weapons were simple compared to the Drathari's energy blades and plasma rifles. High Commander Thrax roared in amusement. "Send them to the test! Let our warriors finish this quickly!" The humans were led into the first trial, a test of strength and speed. The Drathari elite were confident. They had faced creatures many times larger than humans, and none had survived. They circled the humans, their muscles rippling, energy weapons humming with power. The humans did not flinch. They moved as a team, each member covering the other. One human, smaller than the rest, darted forward, dodging attacks with speed that surprised even the most experienced Drathari warrior. Another human set a trap, using the terrain to their advantage, forcing a warrior into a pit from which he could not escape. The audience of Drathari gasped. They had expected an easy victory, but the humans were not simply reacting. They were predicting moves, working together, and using the environment in ways the Drathari had never seen. By the end of the first trial, 2 of the elite Drathari warriors had been neutralized. Not killed, but forced to surrender under strategic disadvantage. It was a shock. The humans had survived, and in some cases outmaneuvered the Empire's best. High Commander Thrax's face twisted in disbelief. "Impossible," he muttered. "This cannot be." Admiral Krell, still cautious, said quietly, "Perhaps we underestimated them. We should not rely on arrogance." The humans, calm and focused, moved on to the next trial, a test of strategy and decision-making. Here, the Drathari elite were in their element. They had been trained in war games since childhood, calculating outcomes, predicting moves, and striking decisively. They assumed this trial would end quickly. But the humans did not follow expected patterns. They divided into small teams, created diversions, and used misinformation. Every prediction the Drathari made failed. Humans anticipated their moves, responded instantly, and adapted faster than the Drathari could understand. Even the young warriors who had never failed a single test were left confused. Humans thought differently. Their unpredictability was disarming. By the time the first day of trials ended, the humans had passed every test. Not by overwhelming strength, but by intelligence, teamwork, and adaptability. The Drathari Council began to murmur uneasily. In the private chambers, High Commander Thrax paced. "This is unacceptable. Humans are small, fragile, yet they survive. They are not strong in the ways we understand, yet they defeat our best warriors. What are they?" Admiral Krell answered carefully, "They are different. Perhaps we need to observe more before making assumptions. We cannot rely solely on strength against them." Meanwhile, the humans rested. They shared quiet words of encouragement and checked their equipment. They had anticipated the difficulty of the trials, but even they were surprised by how quickly the Drathari assumed dominance, and how quickly the humans had turned the tables. Captain Lawson gathered her team. "We face more trials," she said, "and we will face their strongest next. Remember, confidence, focus, and teamwork. Nothing else will matter. If we work together, we survive." The humans had little time to rest. The Drathari prepared their most elite warriors for the next day. A squad of genetically enhanced soldiers, each with years of battle experience. These were the warriors whose names were sung in every corner of the Empire. They had never been defeated. The humans, despite being outnumbered and outgunned, faced the new challenge calmly. They knew that survival was not about strength alone. It was about adaptability, coordination, and thinking beyond what the enemy expected. That night, under the twin moons of the arena planet, the humans trained quietly. They moved through the shadows, practiced new strategies, and tested their weapons. They spoke little, but every action was precise, deliberate, and purposeful. On the other side, the Drathari elite warriors trained as well. They prepared for what they assumed would be an easy victory. Confidence filled their minds. Pride was their armor, and victory was expected. But the seeds of doubt had already been planted. Whispers of, "Humans are not what they seem," spread among the younger warriors and even some of the seasoned veterans. No one had ever faced an opponent like this. Creatures small in size but vast in cunning and resilience. As dawn approached, the first rays of the twin suns glinted off the armor of the humans and the Drathari alike. The arena waited. The next trials would be more dangerous, more challenging. But one truth was already clear. The humans had survived where no one expected them to. And that survival, that calm intelligence, was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn something new. Something the proud Drathari Empire had never imagined. Humans were not weak. Humans were not fragile. Humans were unstoppable. The arena buzzed with anticipation. News of the humans' unexpected victories in the first trials had spread quickly among the Drathari warriors. Even some of the council members whispered nervously in shadowed corridors. Pride had been replaced with uncertainty. High Commander Thrax stood at the edge of the main observation platform, his massive frame silhouetted against the glowing energy barriers of the arena. "They survived the first trials," he growled, "but now they face my best warriors. There is no way they can endure what comes next. None survive the elite Drathari." Admiral Krell's eyes were sharper than usual. "Perhaps, High Commander, we should not underestimate them again. Their methods are unusual." Thrax laughed, a low, booming sound. "Unusual will not save them when true power strikes. Prepare the warriors. Let them witness what failure looks like." The humans, meanwhile, prepared quietly. They had observed the Drathari carefully during the first trials. Each warrior's tendencies, habits, and fighting style had been noted. Captain Lawson and her team gathered to discuss the next stage, a direct combat challenge against the Empire's elite. "Remember," Lawson said, her voice calm but firm, "we face superior strength, advanced technology, and relentless training. But we are humans. We adapt. We work together. Use the environment. Predict them. Protect each other. Every advantage counts." Her words were simple, but the team understood them deeply. Each human had trained in survival and combat under harsh conditions on Earth. Each had faced disasters where strength alone would not save them. They knew that teamwork, intelligence, and flexibility were their greatest weapons. The Drathari elite warriors entered the arena next, each one a master of combat. Their armor glimmered with energy shields, their weapons were deadly, and their confidence was absolute. Each one had fought countless battles, killed enemies larger and stronger than humans, and expected victory to come as easily as breathing. The first human-human team stood together, waiting calmly. The Drathari warriors charged with speed and power, energy blades slicing through the air, plasma rifles firing. The humans split, moved, and reacted almost predictably. But there was a twist. While one warrior dodged, another triggered a trap they had prepared, a series of weighted nets hidden in the terrain. A Drathari warrior, confident in his speed and skill, fell into the pit. Another human lured a warrior into a canyon path, then used an energy pulse from a small device to disable the alien's weapon temporarily. The crowd of spectators roared with shock. Drathari warriors were meant to be unstoppable. Yet, one by one, they were being neutralized, not killed, but subdued in ways that left them unable to continue the fight. High Commander Thrax's eyes narrowed. "Impossible," he muttered under his breath. "They are too small. Yet, they dominate." Admiral Krell stood beside him, arms crossed. "Their tactics are strange but effective. They think differently. Observe carefully. We may learn something if they survive." The humans did not attack recklessly. They moved as a unit, communicating silently with hand signals and eye contact. Each human had a role. One distracted, one disabled weapons, another observed weaknesses. Every Drathari attack was met with a counter that the warrior did not anticipate. By midday, half of the elite warriors were incapacitated or trapped. The humans had not relied on brute force. They had relied on brains, speed, and coordination. The Drathari began to feel a creeping dread. "You cannot beat us," one elite warrior roared as he freed himself and swung his energy blade. But the human opposite him sidestepped effortlessly and used a pole to trip him into a pit. The warrior fell, shielded only by his energy armor. He was alive, but humiliated. The arena floor became chaotic. Drathari warriors, who had expected quick victories, were being outmaneuvered at every turn. The humans adapted instantly to changing situations, exploiting every opening. Captain Lawson stayed calm, watching her team. "Focus," she said quietly. "Keep moving. Keep predicting. They are strong, but they are predictable in ways we can use. Stay alive. Stay smart." One human, a small but agile soldier named Jake, darted across the battlefield. He used the shadows and rocks to hide his movements, then leapt to disable an energy rifle from behind an alien warrior. The Drathari had never faced enemies like this, creatures that used brains over brute strength. By the end of the day, only a handful of elite warriors remained. High Commander Thrax clenched his fists. "This cannot be," he whispered. Our strongest, deadliest warriors. None can defeat them. Admiral Krell nodded grimly. They do not fight like anyone we have faced. Humans. They are not just warriors. They are adaptable, unpredictable. They survive what no one else can. Night fell on the arena planet. The humans gathered in their camp, tending to minor injuries and reviewing the day's events. They had expected a challenge, but even they were surprised by how quickly their methods outmatched the Drathari elite. "We've seen their best," Captain Lawson said, "and we survived. But tomorrow, they will try everything. Expect new tactics, new weapons, maybe even traps. Stay alert, stay together." The Drathari elite, meanwhile, trained through the night. Pride and fury fueled them. They had never lost, never been outsmarted, never faced opponents like these. And yet here they were, defeated not by power, but by ingenuity. When dawn arrived, the humans prepared for the next challenge, a combination of combat, strategy, and environmental hazards. The Drathari had created a landscape filled with dangers, deep chasms, unstable terrain, and energy barriers. This was supposed to be the humans' undoing, but the humans moved calmly. They studied the terrain, planned routes, and divided into small teams that could support each other. While one team drew the enemy's attention, another team set traps. Every obstacle became an advantage. The Drathari warriors charged expecting quick kills, but the humans anticipated everything. A collapsing bridge, meant to trap them, was used to funnel warriors into a net trap. Energy fields intended to slow them down were short-circuited with small devices. Every plan the Drathari thought foolproof was undone. By midday, the humans had not only survived but had eliminated nearly all the elite warriors from the battle. The remaining warriors retreated, humiliated, and in disbelief. The crowd of spectators, the Drathari citizens and junior warriors, watched in shock. Their legends, the unstoppable elite, had been outwitted and subdued by humans. A murmur spread. These creatures were not what they seemed. High Commander Thrax stood in stunned silence, his usual confidence shattered. He had fought countless battles, faced beasts and warriors far stronger than humans, yet here they were, winning against his best. Admiral Krell approached cautiously. "We must acknowledge their strength. Humans are something else. They are not like any species we have faced. Their methods, their adaptability, their teamwork, it is beyond our expectations." Thrax clenched his fists. "Then we must face them ourselves. If humans survive this next stage, I will lead the final challenge personally. No one else will fight them." The humans, unaware of the private council discussions, rested briefly. They knew the battles were far from over. Captain Lawson spoke quietly to her team. "We have learned their patterns. We have adapted. Tomorrow, we face even stronger warriors. But we are ready. We always are." Even in the camp, the humans worked together, reviewing strategies, repairing gear, and maintaining calm. Each knew the importance of mental strength as well as physical skill. On Earth, they had learned that a clear mind could overcome almost anything. That lesson was proving true now, among the stars. By the time the second day of trials ended, one truth was undeniable. The humans had shown the Drathari warriors a strength no one had expected. They were not just survivors, they were masters of adaptability, teamwork, and strategy. And as the twin moons of the arena planet rose high in the sky, the humans rested, calm and confident. They had faced superior strength, advanced weaponry, and deadly tactics, and had survived. They had proven a fact that would echo throughout the galaxy. Humans were not to be underestimated. For the Drathari, the realization was bitter. Pride had been shattered, confidence replaced by fear and curiosity. Their strongest warriors had been defeated, and their best strategies outwitted. Humans were something new, something dangerous, not because of raw power, but because they could think, adapt, and endure in ways no one had imagined. And as the humans slept under the alien stars, a quiet legend began to take shape. The story of creatures small and fragile by appearance, yet capable of defeating the proudest warriors in the galaxy. A story that would grow in whispers, then shouts, across every world the humans visited. The next trials would be even more dangerous. The Drathari would unleash their most cunning, most deadly warriors next. But the humans were ready. They were not just fighting for survival, they were showing the galaxy a new truth. Intelligence, teamwork, and courage could overcome even the mightiest force, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The arena had never felt so tense. Every corner of the vast Colosseum, carved from the planet's black rock, shimmered with energy fields designed to contain the combatants. The Drathari elite warriors had already fallen to humans' clever tactics, and the whispers of doubt among the Empire's citizens had begun to grow into outright fear. High Commander Thrax stood at the observation deck, his massive claws gripping the railing. "They have defeated my best warriors," he growled, his deep voice reverberating through the chamber. "They adapt faster than any of us can predict. But no matter. The humans will face me. I will end this challenge myself." Admiral Krell, standing beside him, studied the humans in the arena below. "Be careful, Commander," Krell said quietly. "They are clever, yes, but they have no idea what true power looks like. We may finally learn if they are really unstoppable." The humans had spent the night preparing. Captain Emily Lawson stood with her team under the soft light of the twin moons. Every soldier was alert, weapons checked, strategies reviewed. "We face him," Lawson said, pointing toward the center of the arena. "The commander himself. This will be the toughest fight yet. But remember, strength alone does not win battles. Observe, adapt, and work together. Nothing else matters. We survive by being smarter, faster, and coordinated." Her team nodded silently. Each human had endured harsh training on Earth, military exercises in extreme conditions, survival drills in deserts, jungles, mountains, and urban disaster zones. They had learned to think, react, and improvise under pressure. That was their advantage now. The arena doors opened with a deafening roar, and High Commander Thrax stepped through. His energy blade glowed ominously, and the hum of his armor resonated across the battlefield. He was larger than any human, every movement a demonstration of power. The human's light armor and modest weapons seemed insignificant against his towering figure. The crowd of Drathari spectators erupted in cheers, confident their champion would finish the humans once and for all. The humans, however, did not flinch. They spread out strategically, using the terrain to their advantage. The first clash came quickly. Thrax charged, each step causing the ground to quake. His energy blade sliced through the air with deadly precision. Humans dodged, ducked, and used small devices to destabilize his footing. One soldier threw a magnetic net, sticking it to Thrax's leg, briefly slowing him down. The commander roared in frustration. "You are small, weak, and slow. How do you survive?" he demanded, swinging his blade with unmatched force. Captain Lawson moved closer to her team, shouting instructions. "Divide his attention, keep him off balance, use traps, protect each other." One human, agile and fast, ran around Thrax, drawing his attention, while another used a small drone to deliver a short, controlled energy pulse to his armor, causing a temporary disruption. Thrax stumbled slightly but recovered instantly. More angry than ever, the humans adapted again. They moved as a unit, predicting his movements, covering each other's blind spots, and using the environment to limit his mobility. Rocks, narrow ledges, and even energy barriers became tools for their strategy. Thrax was stronger, faster, and more deadly than any human had ever faced. But humans had something no single warrior possessed: teamwork. They communicated with silent gestures, coordinated attacks, and exploited openings with precision. The battle raged across the arena. Thrax's energy blade sliced through boulders and energy fields, but each swing was anticipated by the humans. Small, targeted attacks kept him off balance, forcing him to react defensively. Every trick, every adaptation the humans had used in previous trials was employed again, amplified by the knowledge gained over days of observing him. The spectators watched in disbelief. The humans were not merely surviving, they were dominating the battlefield through intelligence and coordination. Every blow they avoided, every trap they set, was a reminder that strength alone was not enough. "You are persistent," Thrax growled, leaping over a fallen boulder. But persistence cannot save you. Persistence is what keeps us alive, Captain Lawson shouted, rolling to avoid a downward strike. Adaptation is what wins battles. The humans set another clever trap. Using a combination of gravity-modifying devices and weighted nets, they forced Thrax into a narrow canyon where his size became a disadvantage. Every swing of his blade risked hitting the walls, slowing him down, giving the humans time to move and attack from multiple angles. For the first time, Thrax's confidence wavered. He had faced countless foes, some faster, some stronger, some smarter, but never all three combined, and never against creatures he could not overpower by strength alone. One human, smaller than the others but exceptionally quick, darted behind Thrax, disabling the energy pulse generator in his armor's back. The commander roared in frustration as his movement slowed. The humans seized the opportunity, forcing him into a trap of nets and energy restraints. Thrax struggled, towering above them, furious and confused. How are you still standing?" he demanded. Captain Lawson approached carefully, keeping her team behind her. "We survive by working together," she said simply. "We adapt. And we never give up." Thrax's energy blade slashed the nets, trying to break free, but the humans had predicted this as well. Coordinated blows from multiple directions kept him restrained without endangering themselves. Each attack, each movement, was calculated to maintain control while minimizing risk. The arena fell silent. Every spectator held their breath as they watched the mightiest warrior in the Empire being subdued, not by strength, but by intelligence, coordination, and adaptability. Finally, Thrax collapsed, exhausted and restrained. He had been outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and overwhelmed, not by raw power, but by the humans' ability to work together and adapt. The commander's roar of anger became a quiet, defeated growl. The humans stood together, breathing heavily, but unharmed. They had faced the ultimate Drathari warrior, and survived. They had proven a truth that would echo across the galaxy. Humans were not to be underestimated. High Commander Thrax, once proud and feared, sat on the arena floor looking up at them. You are not like anything we have ever faced," he admitted, his voice low but sincere. "Strength alone does not define a warrior. You have something else." Captain Lawson nodded, extending a hand in respect. "We all survive in our own ways," she said. "Strength, speed, or cunning. It's how you use it together that matters." The spectators, who had come expecting a simple display of power, were silent. They had witnessed the impossible, a small group of humans outsmarting, outmaneuvering, and surviving where the mightiest warriors had failed. In the private chambers, the Drathari Council convened urgently. Whispers filled the room. They adapt faster than anyone thought. They survive where no one else can. Perhaps we misjudged them. Admiral Krell spoke carefully. "This changes everything. Humans are not just survivors. They redefine what it means to fight. They do not rely on raw strength. They rely on intelligence, teamwork, and adaptability. They are different." High Commander Thrax, still in shock, nodded slowly. "They are unstoppable. If we ever face them in real war, our arrogance will be our undoing." The humans returned to their quarters, tired but satisfied. They had faced the ultimate challenge of the arena, the Empire's strongest warrior, and survived. They had proven that intelligence, strategy, and coordination could overcome even the mightiest force. That night, under the twin moons, Captain Lawson gathered her team. "Tomorrow, the final stage begins," she said. "We have faced their best. We have survived. Now, we show the galaxy what humans truly are. Stay sharp, stay united, and remember, strength alone does not win. Humanity does." Even as they rested, the humans were already thinking ahead. They knew the Empire would now take every measure to defeat them. But they were ready. Each challenge had taught them something new, strengthened their bonds, and sharpened their minds. The Drathari Empire had expected humans to be weak. They had expected easy victories. But what they had seen was something new, something unstoppable. Humans were survivors, thinkers, and warriors unlike any other. And as the arena lights dimmed and the twin moons rose high in the sky, one truth was clear: the humans had changed the game entirely. The next day would bring the final stage, the ultimate test of humans' abilities against the Empire. But no matter the outcome, one lesson had already been written into the hearts of all who witnessed it. Humans were not to be underestimated. The galaxy would never forget the small, unassuming creatures from the distant star system. They were not only surviving, they were defining a new standard of what it meant to be strong, to fight, and to win. And for the Drathari warriors, the realization was bitter, humbling, and unforgettable. None of their best could survive the cunning, teamwork, and adaptability of humanity. The arena had never been quieter. The twin suns of the planet had risen high, casting long shadows across the vast black stone Colosseum. The Drathari warriors who had survived the earlier trials now stood with a mixture of fear and awe. Even the youngest warriors, who had never seen failure, were beginning to doubt the strength of their empire. High Commander Thrax, still recovering from his defeat, looked down from the observation deck. His massive frame, once full of pride and invincibility, now seemed smaller under the weight of what had happened. He had faced humans personally and survived only because they had chosen restraint. But that was a rare gift, a chance no one else would likely receive. Admiral Krell stood beside him, silent for a moment. Then he spoke softly, almost as if talking to himself. "We believed strength alone ruled the galaxy. We believed no one could defeat our elite. But we were wrong. Humans, they have changed everything." Below, the humans prepared for the final stage. This trial would not simply test strength or tactics, it would test endurance, adaptability, and the ability to survive unexpected challenges. The arena had been transformed. Giant moving platforms, traps, energy barriers, and obstacles covered the floor. Drathari engineers had designed it so that only the most powerful, most experienced warrior could survive. But the humans had already proven that power alone was not enough. Captain Emily Lawson addressed her team. Her voice was calm, her eyes steady. "This is it," she said. "The final stage. We've faced their best, we've survived. Now we face the full test. But remember, stay alert, adapt quickly, protect each other, and trust your training. We fight as humans. Together." The humans nodded. Each member checked their gear, ran through quick drills, and prepared mentally. They were confident, but cautious. Every challenge so far had taught them that underestimating the enemy or relying on brute force would lead to disaster. The arena doors opened, and the final trial began. Energy fields hummed to life, platforms shifted unpredictably, and traps triggered automatically. The humans moved as one. They studied the environment quickly, using what they had learned in previous trials. Every obstacle became a tool, every hazard an opportunity. Drathari warriors watched, expecting this to be the end of the humans. They had seen their commander defeated. They had seen their strongest warriors neutralized. Surely the humans could not survive the full power of the arena. But the humans did not panic. They adapted instantly. When a platform collapsed under their weight, they leapt to safety. When energy barriers threatened to trap them, they used small devices to short-circuit the fields temporarily. When a giant mechanical trap swung toward them, they dodged, coordinated, and forced it to crash into a wall, disabling it. Every move, every tactic, was executed with precision. Humans had learned to predict patterns, improvise quickly, and exploit weaknesses, both of the arena and the Drathari warriors. Their teamwork was flawless. Each member protected the others, creating a dynamic web of coordinated movement that the Drathari could not penetrate. High Commander Thrax watched in disbelief as one human after another overcame impossible obstacles. "Impossible," he whispered. "How do they survive every challenge? No one else could do this." Admiral Krell, standing quietly beside him, shook his head. "They are different. Humans are not like any species we have faced. Their strength is not in raw power. It is in their minds, their ability to adapt, their unity. They survive where others perish." The humans reached the center of the arena, facing the final obstacle. a massive mechanical guardian designed to test strength, strategy, and endurance all at once. Its armor was thick, its attacks devastating, and its sensors highly accurate. Any warrior facing it alone would be destroyed within moments. But the humans did not fight individually. They moved as a team, combining strategies and coordinating attacks. While one human drew the Guardian's attention, another disabled its weapons with precision strikes. Others used the terrain to slow its movements, setting traps that forced the machine into confined spaces. The Guardian roared, swinging with crushing force. Humans dodged, countered, and struck in unison. Every move was calculated, every strike precise. The machine's power was unmatched, yet it was vulnerable to coordinated attacks. And the humans were perfectly coordinated. Hours passed. The humans did not falter. Their stamina, teamwork, and ingenuity kept them one step ahead of the machine. The Drathari spectators were stunned. They had watched creatures designed to be nearly invincible brought down, not by sheer force, but by intelligence, patience, and collaboration. Finally, the mechanical guardian collapsed, sparks flying as its systems shut down. The humans stood together, unharmed, victorious. They had survived the impossible. Silence filled the arena. Then, slowly, a cheer rose. Not just from humans, but from some of the Drathari warriors and spectators. Respect, awe, and disbelief mixed together. They had seen their strongest, deadliest creations overcome by beings they had dismissed as fragile and weak. High Commander Thrax descended into the arena. His massive armor glinted in the sunlight, and his energy blade had been sheathed. He approached the humans carefully, each step measured. "You have survived," he said, his voice quieter than before. "You have defeated warriors stronger than you, outsmarted traps, and survived challenges no one thought possible. You are extraordinary." Captain Lawson stepped forward. "We are humans," she said simply. "We survive by thinking, adapting, and working together. That is how we overcome challenges. That is how we thrive." The Drathari Council convened after the trials. The discussion was serious, intense, and unprecedented. The humans had not only survived, they had redefined what it meant to be a warrior. Admiral Krell spoke first. "We cannot ignore this. Humans are not just resilient, they are intelligent, adaptable, and capable of surviving against forces far stronger than themselves. They are an example of what true strategy and teamwork can achieve." High Commander Thrax, still in awe, added, "We have trained warriors all our lives to value strength above all else. But humans have shown us that power alone is meaningless without intelligence, cooperation, and adaptability. The galaxy must take notice." Humans prepared to leave the arena planet. They had completed every trial, survived every attack, and faced the Empire's mightiest warriors. They had not only proven themselves, they had made a lasting impression on the Drathari Empire. As the human ships lifted off into the void of space, Captain Lawson addressed her crew one final time. "We came here to survive, to test ourselves. But we have done more than that. We have shown the galaxy that humans are more than they appear. Strength is important, yes. But unity, intelligence, and courage define a warrior. Remember that. Carry it with you always." The humans departed quietly, leaving behind a mixture of fear, respect, and inspiration. Across the galaxy, word of their victories began to spread. Tales of humans defeating the Drathari's strongest warriors became legend, told in whispers and then in stories across worlds. For the Drathari, life would never be the same. Warrior culture had always prized strength above all else, but the humans' victories forced a new perspective. Intelligence, adaptability, and teamwork began to gain respect. Young warriors learned that survival was not about being the strongest. It was about being clever, coordinated, and resilient. Even High Commander Thrax, once the symbol of invincibility, had learned humility. Humans had taught him, and the entire Empire, that there was more than one way to be powerful. Strength alone was not enough. The humans' legacy began quietly but grew quickly. Other species took note. Galactic politics, war strategies, and even training programs began to change. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, but now it would remember them forever. Captain Lawson and her team returned to Earth as heroes, not because they had destroyed enemies, but because they had survived, adapted, and inspired. Humanity had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could challenge even the mightiest forces in the galaxy. And across the stars, one truth became undeniable. Humans were not just another species. They were survivors, innovators, and warriors unlike any other. And for anyone who thought they could underestimate humanity, the lesson was clear. None of your best warriors will survive if humans face them. The legend of humans had begun, not with war but with survival, intelligence, and unity. And the galaxy would never forget it.